Check, check. Yeah. Ooh, it's Saturday morning. That's Christopher Walken was here. That's what he says. He says he's going to watch the Villain Report. It's the Lions drafting players for the team. This could be good for the team. Could be good for the team. Could be good for your life. Welcome on, welcome all, ladies and gentlemen. Off season. It's the Lion Villain Report. I am your host, Russell Wayne. How y'all doing out there? How you feeling out there? After the draft, post-draft stuff. Right here, we're broadcasting live into some of our favorite spots, like the Johnny Gaz Sports YouTube page right there, as well as our YouTube page at Lions Villain Squad. That's the handle for the Facebook page as well, Lions Villain Squad. I am the host, Russell Wayne. That's at 313 on X, doing that thing. Here we are. We're also on the Huddle Sports Network. Thank you to Bill the Packer fan and Mike the Bear fan. Doing some NFC North stuff in there. That's why we got some of these NFC North guys in here. But it's faith, family, and then football. In that order. We use football, folks. We don't let football use us. Use it for memories. Don't let it turn into a jerk. Things don't always work out your way. We're Lions fans. We know this. Oh, hell yeah! That's right. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to get into this edition of the Lion Villain Report, but I'm not going to do that alone today. I'm going to bring on the man, the myth, the legend, Johnny Gaz.
Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday, my man. It's a good day. It's a little rainy where I'm at, though, but man, what an interesting week it's been. Sports has been crazy. Tigers going off last night. Did you see that ninth inning? Oh my!
I did not see it, but I heard. You know,
Riley Green, man, and he's had a slow start, and he's kind of now picking it up. And he is the first player in MLB history. Right? They've been playing baseball since the 1800s, my man. It's the first time in the history of baseball a player has homered twice in the ninth inning. It's incredible.
That's crazy to even think about that, because he must have led off, right? He came on first, or one of the first batters, and then and then it had to go all the way around, get everybody on base. 4 home runs in 1 inning.
It was awesome, dude. It was awesome. But we're here to talk Lions draft, buddy. I'm here. I'm excited. Thank you for having me on again. I appreciate you, buddy.
Oh, this is awesome, man. Here we are in the off season again, and both of us have been really, really busy this week. Putting out content.
Yeah.
And you've had plenty of stuff out on your YouTube page. My YouTube page is growing. Holy crap. It felt like I was in the sludge there for a while. I got all these people on the Facebook page, and I'm trying to move this YouTube page, but I just had to do a couple of these short form videos. You've been showing me almost like the template on how to do something shorter and put it out. I do love these lives, guys. Don't get me wrong. I love coming on here, shooting the shit with Johnny Gaz. But we have some major stuff to get to. I mean, honestly, we have the knee-jerk reactions. Those have already been out there. Everybody that freaked out about all the picks, just like they did with Jahmyr Gibbs. And now that we've had a week to really reflect on it. But before we get in there, let's say hello to our friends here in the comments right there. Rick C, you can always count on him.
What up, Rick?
Jeremy B. Damn. It's been a while since I've seen Smoking Jeremy B on here.
Big Smoke.
Big Smoke. I know that he's been doing shows out there, but it's good to see you, brother, out there. Paul Jones in the house. Yeah. Johnny Gaz in the house. There you go.
You know it.
Oh, yeah. Central Scrutinizer. We can always count on you. And Jeremy B, right there. Right on time, 1882 baseball started.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you for confirming. Love it.
Yeah, I always love to have the people, during the draft. It was really, really fun because Dwayne was in there just killing it. Like he was writing in the stuff. Now I would normally just do that, but he was so good. I just got to throw up his comments.
All-star. Yeah, that was
over
big.
that. But let's start. I got some of these questions thrown in here for. Let me get these captions up here. Let's start out with the Kirby Joseph contract details before we get into the draft stuff right here, because there were some interesting things right here. I got to pull this up on Over the Cap. And this is something that I've actually brought up as far as what the Philadelphia Eagles were doing. And the Lions just did something similar that the Philadelphia Eagles do to their extended contracts. I got to find him on here. Where are you at, Kirby? Yeah, let me bring this guy in there. There we go.
Yeah, they did some weird things with his contract. It's looking like it's weird. It has something to do with these option bonuses.
There we go. There we go. And here it is right here, because when you look at these cap numbers, you're like, how the hell can you get away with paying somebody $25 million a year, or $21 million a year, and have these low cap numbers? Now, I know that they structure bonuses. You got close to $4 million for the first year, $5 million for the next year, $9 million for the year after that, and then 13 for 28, and then 29 is 17 million, and then you have a $39 million cap hit on the void year. And do you know what this means? Because I have an idea what this means.
Yeah, I'm not a contract expert, but from what I've read into, it's basically they're taking as much money as they can as what they call an option bonus. So it's like a signing bonus, and it allows them to give that player money up front. It lowers their cap number, but then it will cost them big time at the end of the contract. So it's kind of twofold, because you're able to make all the moves you want to make now because it lowers your cap number, but it's basically dead cap, which then hits towards the end of this contract period. The question will be, how do the Lions deal with this at the end of this contract? And so that's where I'm a little bit hazy on how this really shakes out. But ultimately, it seems like it's a way to save them up front to allow them to make the moves. I'm assuming it's a win now move, right? You want to try and get more players in that help you.
That's exactly what it is. And it's funny, I got I got pancaked out here a couple of weeks ago when I brought this up for the Philadelphia Eagles. How dare you criticize the Philadelphia Eagles? Well, they did this with Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown. They didn't just do this with one guy. They did this with like 6-7 guys. So when their deal comes due, they're going to have like $6 to spend on in the 2029 season. So I understand where the concern is, but there was something that happened with the Zadarius Smith contract that was like, how the hell can the Browns get out of that, right? Because he was traded here. Now, we were able to release him and not accrue any of that dead cap at the end of that contract. So this $39 million that's there, like, and this is just a theory. I'm not 100% sure, because these contracts are very, very complicated. When it comes down to it. There's a lot of moving parts and all these different things. But when you get to the end of this contract, wouldn't, in theory, if you could move him like on the 2029 year, or the right before the 2029 year, you can move that contract to somebody else to have to deal with that. And that's what happened with Zadarius, especially if Zadarius ends up coming back, because we don't have to hit that $6 million that is in the, now that's a very lower number than what Kirby's dealing with, but it's the same principle, right? Are you following me?
I do. How about this? Well, I'll keep it simple for everybody. This is from Pride of Detroit, okay? In short, the Lions have managed to keep Joseph's cap hit down incredibly low for the next 4 seasons. They then go on to say what is cap hit, and you just showed us that on the screen here. But what they go on to say is the downside to structuring a deal like this is that at some point you're going to have to pay a pretty massive dead cap hit. However, with so many Lions extensions on the horizons, the Lions are more than happy to kick that can down the road. So I think what that means is like they're wanting to extend their internal guys anyway. So the thought is if Joseph plays at a high level throughout this contract, they're going to re-sign him again anyways, which kicks that money down the road again. So it's like the more they're just buying themselves time, and they feel like they're going to keep their players anyway, so It's not going to hit them.
So that's the other thing that you can do here with this contract is at the very, very end of it here, it's not just one void year. This is, you got that $39 million. Now, you should be able to spread that. That's why you got the extra void years through those 0 years. So you're not going to, so don't let this fool you here. The Lions will not, I'm going to preface this, they will not spend $39 million on a Kirby Joseph-less team. No. They will do something within that. And like you said, I think it's a better chance that they extend it and move it into those void years, put some of those bonuses in there and just keep them here longer. And you could pretty much do the exact same thing again at that point. Or at the end of the contract, I mean, you don't want to talk like this because he hasn't played his prime yet, right? But at the end of this 4 years, he's going to be, a 30-year-old player that you're probably, I mean, you may make him a lifelong line, but you ain't going to be paying him that. So at the end of this contract, you may see a similar type of thing like they did with Zadarius Smith. We'll either try to move him or, even cut the contract before that dead hits because they don't have, I mean, does it all come due? How does that work?
It's
like if they were to trade him, because the Browns weren't on hook for that dead money either.
So here's what I can do for us, Bud. And again, because I'm not going to pretend to sit here and tell you I'm a contract expert, but this is from the same article. Okay. It says, let's say the Lions decide to go in the other direction and cut him. All right. Before this massive hit, his cap hit in 2029 would go from 17.9 to over 31 million, just like you said. Mm-hmm. But it'll be completely off the books in 2030. So it's like they're almost willing to just take that hit for one season and then it's all fallen off and they've reset. But let's hope they don't have to worry about cutting him. You know what I mean?
Right. And I don't think, I mean, this is like I said, it's very complicated to the simple part, but the bottom line is Kirby Joseph's contract isn't going to even affect this team all that much until 2029.
Right.
So, you got the window, but the Philadelphia Eagles just did the same thing. I mean, I'll show you the proof. Here we go. Because I don't want to, give people wrong information here.
But it just proves the point, right? That other quality organizations, winning organizations, if we want a Super Bowl, are doing similar things, which I think puts the Lions in that light, that elite organization status.
Oh, where'd you go, Eagles? There you are.
I love Howie Roseman and that whole organization. They doing a lot of the right things. They're a good example of that reset. They've had to reset and gotten back to Super Bowls. So that's just it's a great example.
Yeah, but they got a lot of this going on right here. So let's take a look at some of these, just like Jalen Hurts, right? Jalen Hurts, $1 million base salary here. His cap number is $21 million, right? Then it goes up to $31 million, right? It hasn't even come close to that $50 million contract. 42 in the third year, right? And then in 28, 47. There's the big cap number. And then void, $97 million. Lane Johnson, void, $22 million. Jordan Mailata, void, $35 million. A.J. Brown, even on 2030, void, $53 million. Mm-hmm. So this is a game, like if you're worried about this is a game that teams that are winning the Super Bowl are playing. So this is not uncommon. That, I mean, like I said, the Philadelphia Eagles are making a living at this. Mm-hmm. And plus, but if you have Saquon Barkley and you have all these high-end guys, you want to keep your good players.
Can the Lions can't keep Brian Branch, Laporta, and...
Yeah, they can. They can keep every single guy that they drafted, and they just proved it.
Yeah, there's definitely different ways to do this too. This is one way. I mean, you can, like I said, signing bonuses, upfront money. I mean, they know they got big contracts. Aiden Hutchinson's contract is going to be a mess as far as how they're going to figure that out. But you can see now the bits and pieces to all these things to where they can fit this all together. I agree with you. There's no reason to panic. There's no reason to. I've heard people say they don't need draft picks because if they keep drafting high-end players, they're never going to be able to pay them all. But they're happy to draft as many high-end players as they can get, believe me.
So Jeremy B has a comment in here, and I just wanted to read it out there right there. Rest in peace to Mac, the founder of the NEESP Sports Podcast Information Group. He's been a legend doing it as soon as YouTube did. Lives were available past this morning.
Sorry to hear that.
YouTube did. He's been a legend doing it as soon as YouTube did. Lives were available past this morning. Okay. I was just having a hard time reading that, Jeremy, but thank you for sharing that information, Jeremy. And here's a great point by Rick C right here. By that time, we may have a starting quarterback on a rookie deal. Yeah, I mean, that's quite possible right there. That's very possible in here. But there's the Kirby Joseph. So the Kirby Joseph talk right there. Let me know what you think in the comments about what you think of the Kirby Joseph contract. I couldn't see anything other than, okay, cool, we got him now. 4 years, and it's not going to kill us. That's where I'm with it. QR codes. I need to get some of these in here. This episode is brought to you by Fanatics.com. That's right. Get that Lions Pull Over hoodie right there. Save up to 25% off of your order from our affiliate marketing partners at Fanatics.com. And you can get MLB stuff. Like if you want to get a Riley Green jersey in there, you can go to the Tigers part of that and be like, man, I want my two home run jersey. But thank you to anybody that uses that link. It helps support the page right here. Faith, Family, and then Football right there. There's our YouTube page. That's a link to the Villain Squad YouTube page. And here's a link to the Villain Squad Facebook page. And then right here is a straight up link to the Johnny Gaz YouTube page right there, and you can just use those. Those are free. So go and subscribe, and hit a like or a comment. That's absolutely free right there. And we appreciate all of the support here on this channel because we're kind of, promoting 2 channels at the same time when you think about it, or 5 channels at the same time. Man, all those didn't come in there. I'll have to put those out there in a slower version.
No worries.
All right. Is it Big Z still in Detroit? We're going to re-sign Big Z?
I feel like it's still in play. I've heard both sides of this coin, but there seems to be some evidence that would indicate that it is still a possibility. Do you put any emphasis into them signing the undrafted free agent Meeks at all because of the relationship? I think it's his nephew, from what I understand.
Well, I think just Meeks is just a really good wide receiver that somehow didn't get drafted. But I mean, yeah, I guess maybe it has something to do with it. Cool. Any other little thing to do. Is there any chance that they just go into the season and let these guys compete and not get an edge?
Yeah, there absolutely is. I think the re-signing of Davenport and we talked about in the past, they like Josh Pascal, and I think ultimately they're going to try and give him as much run as he can to try and develop. And I mean, he's shown he can play, and with a healthy Aiden Hutchinson on the other side, there's a lot more possibility to all these guys. Then they add up front, and we'll talk about those picks here to how they'll increase their effectiveness across the defensive line in general. So yes, there is a strong possibility the organization doesn't feel that they need him, but I think the evidence would say it's still a possibility.
I think it would be cool. I would like to have Big Z back, but I've kind of put my soul here at peace with the way Brad Holmes does this. I'm not going to push against this guy. And I put out a video earlier, like the people have the gall to go against Mel Kiper's draft board here. And it's like, come on, guys. He answered your question. Brad Holmes answered your question. You want to know why he's getting frustrated? Because he said it before the draft. Hey, we like our edges. We like our room. We like our rotation. We brought back Davenport. Don't be surprised, Then we get to the draft, he does what he says he's going to do. He waits. He does his thing, and he told you. That's the reason that he's frustrated. Hey, I like my players. I like our development. What is it? Well, what about the edge? It's like, well, you keep on asking me about this edge, and I've answered your question. Well, we don't agree. I don't really give a shit if you don't agree. That's where Brad Holmes is at. Dude, stop questioning me on this. I told you the answer. Pascal.
Davenport's always injured.
Okay. But the thing is, that's what they're doing. That's why he's frustrated, is because you keep on finding new ways to ask the exact same question. He didn't do it. He got an edge in the 6th round that we'll talk about here in a second. But what do you think about that? Just the fans knowing more than Brad Holmes and going with mock draft, the reach, all that.
Yeah, it was an interesting press conference, that one where he was wearing his high school jersey. I mean, he told those reporters basically just that. I don't care what you think. And it was weird that you had to have that conversation. I don't love that that's the interaction between the general manager and the media. That's just kind of an outside perspective on my part, in my opinion. But you're exactly right. It's a fans know better and content creators know better. And it's funny because I posted videos to try and hit both sides, right? And it's funny because it's like you can tell the people who watch the first half of the video then click off and go, oh, screw that guy. He hates Brad Holmes. It's like there are two sides of the coin, but the ultimate truth is what Brad Holmes and the organization is going to do. And he was very honest and said exactly that. We're going to build the way we want to build, draft, develop, and pay. And edge was not a priority for them this season. They felt they made enough moves to address it and had other ways to build the defense.
The argument is funny to me because people will say, oh, man, well, the Lions need to get a pass rusher opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. It's like they need Aiden Hutchinson. They just need Aiden Hutchinson, right? And then they have these other guys that are there. Like, well, you need a guy that's going to have 10 sacks. You're not going to get a guy that has 10 sacks because you're not looking to replace the guy on the other side with one guy. Mm-hmm. Davenport's not going to, like, in a perfect world, you got Josh Pascal, Muhammad, and now you got, Hassan and, all these different linemen. Aiden Hutchinson's 100% on the other side. You're talking like 95% of the snaps. You ain't got to worry about that side. You're going to get a rotation on the other side. Those guys are going to play 30%, 20% of the snaps, and they're going to give different looks on that other side depending on pass and run. Aiden Hutchinson's the one that's going to be out there all the time. Yeah. If they were to draft a high-end defensive end, they wouldn't need as many defensive ends. They could roster 2 less defensive ends, but they're carrying more because they're trying to deal with this in a rotation. And you can't do a rotation when 5 of your guys are injured at the same position. So Agreed. There's my 2 cents.
Agreed. And to go back to the Brad Holmes thing, it's like they developed their draft, their value board, and they're not going to just put edges on their board because people think they need edges. So they obviously didn't want to reach on a guy just because. They drafted who they felt helped them the most based on their board. And you described it perfectly. Think about this. How many linebackers are on this roster right now? I mean, you brought back Derek Barnes, and I'll use him specifically. Think about the way they use him on the defense when he's healthy. He's up on the line. He's back defending. I mean, there's ways to play him off of the Tyleik Williams, DJ Reader, and on the other side, Aiden Hutchinson. Now we're not even talking about Davenport. We're not talking about Josh Pascal. So I'm saying that to get people to think about the defensive rotation and possibilities using different schemes. We talked about a 3-4, mixing in different ways to defend. That may mean you don't even need a second defensive end on the field in certain sets. Again, I'm not sitting here saying that I didn't say they need an edge. I would have been okay with certain edges if they drafted them. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I absolutely loved every single pick that Brad Holmes made, but I understand the plan and I totally get where he's coming from and the need to just understand and let him cook.
All right. So there we go. That's kind of like the prelude right there leading up to our draft talk right here. And you segued that very well here. And let's get into these comments a little bit here, see if we got some good stuff. Jeremy's always got good stuff. He's talking about Meeks right here, not just signing him. He was the highest guaranteed money UDFA available at $200,000 for Meeks. He's a good player. I mean, he got signed here because of a good player. I don't think it had anything to do with Zadarius Smith. I mean, especially if they don't sign Zadarius Smith. Rick C says he'll probably do Hutch Hutch is in a similar fashion. Big hit, being the following year from Curb, get the big hits while your QB is playing for pennies. Yeah, you kick that can down the road like that. Jeremy, we're going to get into the 5th year options here in a minute. Love the Hassanin pick, 7 pounds. Good morning, everybody. That's right.
You like that?
If you guys got any questions, comments, or concerns, Chad's in the house. Nice.
What's up, Chad?
Meeks signed because Meeks can ball.
Fair. Very fair.
That's very fair. All right, what was your favorite pick from the draft?
Ooh, good question. I have a few. I like the guard Tate Ratledge, and the reason why I like him so much is I think he's a Lions guy. You posted the funniest reel I've seen this week, man. The Soul Glow reel of him running the 40 is it's chef kiss.
So
good. So good. But no, I think really it fits the type of player they want. It's their strength. It's rebuilding their strength. And it's a guy that can come in and start day one and push everybody around him in the offensive line. We'll talk about the other picks that kind of, form around that. But that is my favorite pick because it re-solidifies their biggest strength.
Yeah, this was a hard one for me because I'm an Ohio State fan and I loved the first pick. Like, Talik the Freak, that's what we called him at OSU. And forget everything that you know about he's only a run stuffer, okay? Forget that. Forget it. I'm telling you right now, if you're just thinking that he's a run stuffer, you are far, far, far underestimating Tyleik Williams. This dude was asked to eat people in the middle of that line and let JT Tulamalo and Jack Sawyer eat. They had 20 sacks in between those two guys going and in the multiples in the playoffs. Talik the Freak is exactly what that is. If he would have been able to run that 40 and finish that 40, he would have probably ran a 4.5 or a 4.6 at 320 pounds. He moves like Aleem McNeil. And somebody was like, we already got Aleem McNeil. We drafted another one. Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. I want 2 Aleem McNeils. We need an edge. No. Did you watch the Super Bowl? You want to talk about, you need defensive line. You need interior defensive line. You need interior defense. What worked against Patrick Mahomes was collapsing the pocket in the middle and then running him right into your linebackers and your defensive ends. Mm-hmm. So, I'm going to have to just go with Talik on this, bro. Like, yeah. I mean, the first round pick, that's what it is. See if we got anybody in here. What do you guys got out there? Who's your favorite pick? Paul Jones comes in with the Frazier pick. Oh, I love that.
Mm-hmm. That was good. I agree with him. I don't know how he drops that far. I can't imagine how many teams could use a guard like him. But again, that's why I like the draft strategy in general. Well, just continue to build your biggest strength. And Frazier and Ratledge have they work together in the offseason, so there's a familiarity there between the two of them, and you just love that coming into it. It's gonna. I mean, can you imagine how good Hank Fraley's feeling right now? Oh my gosh,
Hank Fraley's feeling really, really good. Yeah. And right there, Frazier's a great example of why they didn't draft an edge. You're trying to have the board fall, and then this guy is just standing out to you. It's like you didn't get an edge at that spot. Okay, but you got a guy that's probably good enough to start and won't. You got Frazier, you got Ratledge, you got Glasgow, and Awasika. I mean, you got a nice array of guys right there, and who knows who's going to win on Mahogany, the guy you just drafted last year.
Mm-hmm. And you never want to play out the injury bug, right? And that's the other thing with Frazier. He's got experience across the offensive line, so you'll be able to plug and play certain guys and pieces. Hopefully there's not an issue and he can just kind of build behind the guard position. But if you got to use him at tackle, there's a possibility there as well.
And keep it going. So let's get into the the controversial, and I'll admit this, the trade up, you go from 102 all the way up to 7. That's up 32 picks up. My personal opinion, I don't mind I don't mind the player, but it's the compensation to move up that high that seems to be the big issue that everybody has. What's your thoughts on that, Johnny Gaz?
Yeah, I feel the same way you do. It's I think love the guy, love the player, love the fit. Don't love giving up so many picks. But again, let's go back to the Brad Holmes strategy. It's like that's their guy. I'm seeing more and more in articles written that other teams did like Tesla as well. So there may have been some action there that Brad Holmes just said, I gotta make the move now, no matter what I gotta do. And that's their strategy. And again, it's a guy that's local. It's a great story. Everything just starts to fit on top of the fact that he's kind of the build and the right player for their scheme. So hopefully, you will see a little bit out of him. I'm excited for the preseason because that's a guy I think people will start to really get behind once they see his style of play. He's physical. He can block. He does a lot of things for you.
Love hurts. I love the Tesla pick right there.
Love it.
When it comes to the big body wide receiver, right? This is something that we spent a lot of time talking about last year, and it gets lost in the edge talk, right? But last year during the offseason, what are we going to do? Wide receiver 3. Oh my God, what are we going to do? And they go out, they find Tim Patrick. That's cool. And they brought Tim Patrick back. That's fine. But don't be surprised if Tesla comes right in and is getting immediate snaps. He's going to probably start the season as wide receiver 4. But I expect him to take Tim Patrick's job by the end of the season. This isn't a 3-year development thing, guys. This isn't some dude that is just 6'4" and runs a 4.4 that learned what football was yesterday. This dude had 2 years where, you're talking what? The entire season didn't drop a pass. He didn't drop anything.
Incredible.
And he blocks. Definitely a top 2 blocking wide receiver in the draft at the same time, and he played in a slot. It seems like the perfect Brad Holmes type of dude that Arkansas had. I mean, they might as well had me playing quarterback, and that's not something that you want. But yet he still found a way to be somewhat productive from the slot.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't complain. I'm sure he can go outside. He kind of took over that outside at 6'4", but you just got yourself some insurance for after this year. If Jamison Williams says, I'm just not going to sign unless you give me $35 million a year and we have to move on from him, this is the insurance. So couple 3rd-round picks. That's what it takes to get up from. But we actually won that trade by the metrics of the trade, just by how far you moved up. 32 picks isn't like chump change here. You moved up a full round, even though it seemed like it was the same round. Mm-hmm. But 102 to 70, that's a big jump. And they felt like they needed to do it. I don't know if he would have made it all the way down, but who knows? We didn't have a 4th-round pick, Johnny.
No.
So we waited. And we waited. And then we waited. And then we waited. And then that's when we end up we traded up for Frazier too, didn't we?
Lions acquired, they got pick 171, gave up 182 and 228 with the Patriots.
Then that was just one of those guys, and that's chump change considering what you really needed to do. It's like this guy keeps falling and falling and falling, and I didn't get why they were falling either. And we talked a little bit about him, what his possibility could be, maybe. But then we get into maybe the favorite pick out of everybody here, just because it's an edge right here. But tell me what you like about Ahmed Hassanin.
Let's start with this, okay? Everyone, I've been going back and forth about what the nickname should be for this guy. Should it be the Pharaoh? Should it be the Mummy? Should it be something completely different? Have you heard anything about this or no? Are you hearing something different?
I haven't heard the nicknames. I'll probably come up with my own for him, but
You always got the good nicknames. I feel like you might have something good for us. So let me know what it is down the road. But I like what I like about him is that it's another like pure lion pick, like absolute work ethic, the type of guy, great story. I won't go through all that. I'm sure everybody's read into his story. But he's productive. And that was what I saw out of the few highlight tapes that I saw and the stats. Very limited time in football. I think this is only his 5th year of like actual competitive football, but he had big time numbers at Boise in those 2 years. High sack rate, high pressure rate. He gets after it. He's got a high motor. So if you think down the road, you got Aiden Hutchinson on one side, this guy on the other. I mean, you got guys that'll just go and get you. So I think it's going to take time. I don't think this is a plug and play type piece, but I think this will be somebody who will get into the mix early.
So with Hassanin, for me, it's like sometimes I think that we get caught into this developmental thing, and it takes a couple of years. Well, let me tell you something, Lion fan. You don't give players a couple of years. You don't. We've already called Broderick Martin a bust, and he's played 2 years. So you don't give people a couple of years. So, but Hassanin has traits that translate immediately, right? You can't teach somebody how to be stronger in high motor. Those are things that you can't teach. And there will be a use, especially like what I brought up a little bit earlier, where you got Hutchinson on one side. You're working a healthy rotation on the other side of, you got Davenport. They will have packages for him to use what he does. And what he does very well is...
it's just got too good. I'm so sorry, buddy. He's doing it too. You know what's going to happen.
Walk like an Egyptian.
Just getting it out there after sacks. Oh That's great.
Oh gosh, what was I even saying right there? Oh,
sorry,
yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Hassanin power. Like, the power translates in the NFL. So if he can bull rush people, what does that other position require? It's almost like he's a younger version. Hopefully, he doesn't get injured as much as Davenport.
Yeah.
Where you're converting that power. You want to crunch that pocket and move those people. Aiden Hutchinson's going to be the cleanup. He's the one that's going to be the beneficiary of all this stuff right here. They're going to design a defense like that. So I like the pick. I mean, you got a guy that's only been playing for 5 years, and then you're going to get, our defensive line coach. We're going to be able to train this kid up in the way that he should go. Just like it says in the Bible. Train them up in the way that they should go. Faith without works is dead. Those guys are going to work. So that's good.
Yeah.
Tesla.
No, I like him, man. I Ooh, that's a good one. Okay.
Vanillatron. Chad might have came up with it right there. I dig that.
That's pretty good.
I like Vanillatron.
That's good. I like him, man. I like him a lot.
Good.
I think he's a great fit. You wonder again why he goes last to the 6th round, but I just think it's again maybe Brad Holmes just has something in his mind. You know what I mean? And I think this is one of those things where you can plug and play him in the system, and he'll just strive with the players around him and what Dan Campbell will do to push this kind of guy. I think it's going to be great.
So Jeremy says Davin Hurt will get a hangnail and miss half the season. Davin Hurt. Oh gosh, right there. Yeah. So, but Davin Hurt, Pascal, and Muhammad, like the chances of all 3 of those guys getting hurt like last year going into the practice squad after that, that's just a lot of bad luck. That would be, because that's awful luck.
It really is. I can't see that happening again. I mean, especially on one side of the football. That was incredible.
Now, Davenport, Davin Hurt. Yeah, that could happen. I mean, that seems like it. Todd Hummel, the Sphinx.
The Sphinx. I like that.
The Sphinx. The Sphinx, yeah. Now, hopefully it's not like the Sphinx that got knocked out like Tyson. Oh, yeah, the 92 seconds. But then we had some 7th round draft picks. You got any thoughts on Dan Jackson? Or
I do. I mean,
Love
I'm not a Dan Jackson expert, but I watched a little bit of his tape, and he seems like a guy that's willing to go get it. And he's a tackler. He's like I don't want to call him a poor man's Brian Branch because I feel like that's a disrespectful thing. But like, there's like some Branch aspects to his game that I like, and he's comes from the big system in Georgia, so you like that. Actually went 2 back-to-back Georgia picks there, but I think Dan Jackson can come in and certainly compete. They needed a depth role safety. I think that's one position group where they certainly needed to add a piece. So he has an opportunity to come in, win a special teams role, and that's how he's really going to contribute, I think, early to this team.
And you nailed it. You nailed it right there. That's one of the things that Brad Holmes was just saying. This guy's going to come in and immediately, you know, they were right there for special teams, and that's good when you're building that core up. So I know that David Phipp is like, yeah, he's over there going, yeah, get my guys right there.
They're going to be very exotic
too. A utility safety, and I was so happy that they did pick a safety at that point, especially when you can get developmental guys. I knew they could get one late because you already got Kirby, you already got Branch. You're not hurting right there. You're looking for somebody to fill that Ifiatu Melifanu role that, you know, is playing as that third safety in certain packages. And then we get into Lovett. What do you know about how you feel on Lovett here?
Another, you know, is it a speedy replacement maybe ultimately for Khalif Raymond down the road? That's sort of the feeling I get for this, depending on what happens with Leaf. Again, another guy that's going to have to earn time in a very heavy wide receiver room now, and the only way he's going to earn time is probably by finding a way to be a gunner on special teams again. So I don't know if this is a guy that ultimately makes the roster because of how condensed that room is, but can he find himself on the practice squad and maybe earn time through the special teams, another player like that? So I won't put too much on this, but that's the feeling I get.
Do you think that this pick could possibly put Khalif Raymond in any kind of danger? That maybe they let that contract go because it's a lot bigger and this guy's playing for fries.
That's fair. That's the one argument I think you can make is the money situation. But I know I don't know this, but I feel like they love Leaf so much, and he's an All-Pro returner. It's like you can't just give that away. So unless Lovett's going to come in and replace him there, I think that's where you would be like, why do you give him away? You had a guy that can make a difference on the special teams in the return game. So I don't see that, but I more so see him just kind of sitting on the practice squad and maybe filling in an injury situation.
I agree with everything here except for Tim Patrick. I mean, how are you going to down on Tim Patrick for last year? Tim Patrick was a rock last year. I mean, I understand that he was injured. That's why we got him where we got him, you know, the waiver wire and stuff like that. But I mean, I'm not sure about Rocky Austin. I don't know too much about him. But Davenport, I mean, what are you going to do? That was the one that I hated. I'm not going to sit up. I get labeled a homer a lot, whatever, but I just choose to use positive spins, right?
It doesn't help that behind both of us is just a plastered mess of Lion stuff. So it's like hard to hide the homerness. But it is what it is, man. We love our team.
We are, but we're also like, it's not like the team is void of criticism from us.
Sure.
The thing is when it gets pushed back on, right? So if I ask you a question about edge and you answer the question about edge, but I just keep on asking you about edge over and over and over again, eventually I'm going to be like, okay, they feel differently about edge. I'm going to stop asking this question. But media, I mean, well, that's where the media is actually doing their job right. So if they go out there and they get frustrating things out of Brad Holmes, then that's the media doing their job. So I'm not going to just say, hey, media, you stop going after Brad Holmes, dude.
It's my quarterback.
Yeah. It's like, it's okay to ask the tough question, but don't play dumb after you ask the question to rile the response, right? What do you mean?
Wait a minute, Edge? I was just asking a question about Edge. Oh, look at me.
Like, no, dude, you're being a dick now. You keep going and going and going at it. Why can't you just say, okay, I disagree with that take, so we're gonna move on and talk about something that, no, I'm not gonna do that. Come on, Brad, you're making mistakes. Mel Kiper had him at pick 20. You could have had him. Like, oh my God,
Mel Kiper. What? We won't go on a tangent, but man, did he embarrass himself this year or what? That was a disaster of a draft broadcast for him. I can't believe, and it is what it is, but it was just funny. And how about this? Let's spin it back to Marcus Davenport. I'm going to relate it to a Detroit Tigers player, Javi Baez, which is in a transition between the fan base hating him. He's now sort of built himself back up and worked into the good graces of Tigers fans. If Marcus Davenport comes out and stays healthy for 8 games and gets 6.5 sacks, you start to feel differently about Marcus Davenport. I'm gonna cash those receipts, guys. We'll come back and see how we feel at week 9.
Yeah, but don't be surprised when they come on here and cash their receipt.
I like it. Either way, I can take
it. Bring us the receipts. Oh yeah, there you go, Rick C. Get it. Who the hell is Mel Kiper?
Mel Kiper goes, NFL organizations haven't been able to rate quarterbacks ever. And this is the same guy that said that Lamar Jackson should turn himself into a running back. It's the same guy that told us that Johnny Manziel was going to be a life-changing organizational quarterback. Get out of here, Mel Kiper. Go home, melt your plastic skin off, and go to sleep.
Oh, man. So Mel Kiper, gosh, at the end of that draft, I mean, we were looking at it, and I was bringing up the top 100 because I think all of the mock drafters got egg on their face after this year, because I think at the end of the draft, there were 13 players, I think I counted, that were in the top 100 that they rated that didn't get drafted at all.
Wow. That's really crazy.
So when people tell me that they reached for Tesla, I mean, like, by what list are you looking at? One of these lists that nobody used?
Yeah, it's wild. It's fun to do mocks, and I did some, so I'm not immune to it. But you're right. I was humbled by that, and I think everybody was a little bit. But it's fun. It's fun to do. It's fun to talk about, and even on the receipt conversation, all for fun. It's just fun to have good conversation.
It is all good. We did the questionable decisions. I have my questions written in here, and I think that we kind of hit some of them already. So,
sorry, brother. We like to chat.
No. I mean that we hit it in general conversation. I didn't have to ask questions. It actually flowed together so naturally
You like
that. I always got Kirk right over here, just for so. This is a good question right here. I like this one. Which pick has the best chance to be a week 1 starter?
I sound like a broken record, but I think it's Tate Ratledge. I just think it's the fit that they needed. It kind of, does it spell the end of Graham Glasgow as far as a starting guard for you? I still like him in a backup role. I love his experience, the veteran leadership, but I think to me, it's Tate Ratledge.
I love that pick. I have to agree with you. I think Tyleik Williams would be like a very lazy answer by me, because Aleem's out, and I get it. I mean, your first round pick, you really do want to be out there sooner rather than later. But I gotta agree with you, Tate Ratledge, and maybe a sleeper pick would be Frazier to start over Mahogany, and then have both of the rookies in there, and there it is. Boom, done. You're done. Right. But I do believe it'll be Ratledge and Mahogany to start the season, and they'll be cross training all those other. You'll have 2 guys. But I mean, you want to know who the Graham Glasgow replacement is? Will Frazier.
Oh yeah.
He's a guy that plays well. He's like, he can even play some tackle. Let's go. They may even train him at center. Whatever.
I love it. I love so much that they reinvested in that offensive line. There's nothing that makes me happier in that. it's just, it all makes sense for Detroit and the Lions, and this offense is their bread and butter. And you have to be good up front for Jared Goff and the whole offense to work. We've talked about it over and over again. So to me, that was the best thing they could have done.
So we already discussed why they didn't address the edge surprise players for 2025. I think I just said mine right there. I think Will Frazier might end up surprising people, but I'll go with Tesla to come in and buy the surprise players. I think that Tesla is going to have an impact right away, and I think that the fans, even though they're criticizing how much they gave up, he's going to be the first player that all the fans fall in love with.
I think you're exactly correct. That's the player I would have picked. I think the value that we've talked about, and I'm still in that same boat, and time will tell. But I do think he's the guy that so many people are going to be surprised. They're going to realize, man, we can use him in so many ways, outside in the slot. There's just, it's to work him into the run game, right? Screens and just so many things. Use him in motion. I mean, think about how much pre-snap motion the Lions have used in the past, and just what they could do with a player like that. It's something I really see good things for. I'm excited for Tesla. I hate to oversell it, but I could see a Tesla jersey replacing this here at some point.
I love that. And sell it or don't sell it. Like, I'm glad that you're selling it, because look at the opportunity that Tesla has. This isn't like, in the first round, you draft a wide receiver. Well, that guy's got to be your one, or he's going to be your two, right? Well, none of that is going on here. None of that's going on here. The defenses are going to be out there trying to scheme against Gibbs in the backfield, or Montgomery in that awesome offensive line, tight ends coming out of the backfield, either Amon-Ra St. Brown over on this side, and then you got Jameson Williams on this side. Tesla is going to be like this 6'4" freak of nature that is forgotten about. Oh, we can't. They're not going to have the resources, and that's where I think he's going to stop. You go, I got double team this guy. Go, okay, we got to get the safety up and stopping the run, and all of a sudden you got this big, huge freak running down the field with a linebacker covering him. Like, that's what's going to happen, guys. Yeah. You can't put your best players on Tesla. And he already he literally just played this role in Arkansas, where he was the slot wide receiver, wasn't the main go-to guy. It's like, he doesn't even have to really translate his game. Just keep doing what you're doing, kid. Get better.
This Lions offense is so scary to think about, the ways that they can attack you. And you just went through it. I won't repeat you. It's great points, man. It's just, this offense is going to be tough to deal with the tight end room. And now already the running game was a problem, but a healthy Lions wide receiver group, it's scary, man. J-Mo off the deep end, slots for days. There's no way to stop this team. And I'm not overshooting that, because they were historic last year. They got better this year.
They got better. Oh, Brent's in the house. What's up, Brent?
What up, Brent?
You like that?
What's up, Roy?
You like that?
And he's asking,
Haas?
about. I know that we already answered that question, but throw another thought in there on Hassanin.
Oh, Hassanin. I was like, okay, sorry, I'm dumb. I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
No, dude. I think both. I don't want to speak for Villain here, but I think we both like the fit, the player, the man. You guys heard it in that call he had with Brad Holmes. He told him, "I will die on the field for you." That tells you everything about a character and a guy, man. That's incredible, and Dan Campbell's going to respect that. So I think he could also be a guy outside of Tesla. He would have been my other pick to be the surprise contributor early. I think if they can kind of clean up some things with him as far as his alignment and feet work and hand placement, all that weird stuff that you don't want to talk about. You clean all that up, he's got the motor. It's going to be a good player.
Yeah, I like the pick for a developmental pick, and like I said, we went over that earlier, where you got Davenport, you got Pascal, you got Muhammad. None of those guys are anybody that you're going to call home about, but you get them on a solid rotation. All three guys kind of bring something that end needs, right? What do all three of those guys have? They got bull rushes, and they can convert that power and collapse the pocket and crush the pocket. So crush the can, right? That's what they say. Crush the can.
Mm-hmm.
And That's what all three of those guys can do. Now, are they? I mean, bring in Zadarius Smith. That's fine. That's another guy that can do that, right? But that would be 4 guys that can do that. So, is it a huge need to come in and go get this pass rusher opposite Hutchinson? Yeah, I mean, that would be cool. If we could find a guy, then you wouldn't even have to roster 4 defensive ends to get it. So,
I think they found their guy. I mean, and I don't mean like I wasn't a high end player at the top of the draft, but they found the guy. I mean, tell me why Hassanin isn't the guy. And I'm not saying he's day 1, 20 sacks Hall of Famer. I'm not selling it that way, but tell me why he's not the guy for the edge position for them, because they got the tackle, they brought in a tackle. They've reworked their linebacker room. It's all there.
Yeah, Broski's in the house, man. Like, good to see you, Broski. I was hoping to get you on the show, man. I have to get a way to get a hold of Broski while I got Broski on the line right here. Send me like a private message or something, because I have no way to like directly contact you other than like a YouTube comment. And I tried to get to you, but I want to get you on here so I can, have a place that I can send you a link other than public. But he says Williams is an upgrade over Lopez. Why would you say Lopez? Lopez might not totally make the team. We have a lot of guys in there. Levi and DJ Reader would start the season, so Williams would have to be an upgrade over Levi or Reader. I don't think that he's going to get in over Reader, but he could possibly start over Levi Onwuzurike. But I really believe that there's a chance that Williams doesn't start, kind of like the David Montgomery and Gibbs thing. Technically, Gibbs is the starter, or not Gibbs, but Montgomery's the starter. But it's not like he can't make an impact. So Williams is going to impact year 1.
You called it. You called it earlier, right? It's like they yes, there's going to be a listed starter, which I think it will be Levi over Tyleek to start. But ultimately, this is a rotation of players. You're going to see multiple assignments for all of these guys. So I think in the end, they're all contributing. I would think at the end of the season, Williams and Levi are contributing very equally in this mix.
So I did put my email right there in public right there. I don't really care if you guys want to send me emails. But Broski, that's my email right there. Just send me an email with that email, and then I'll make sure we definitely got to get you in here talking about these Bears, because I am going to do a separate recorded show. I'm doing recorded something because I want to get takes from the other fan bases about their draft, how you feel about your draft and whatnot. And I thought the Bears did awesome on their draft. So Broski, you should be happy with where you're at. I'm not one of those people that's going to care that they took Loveland over Warren. That's apples and that's mock drafters, right? Oh, well, I thought you should have taken what? Shut up. They like Loveland. Like, they had a chance to take Warren, they didn't. They took the guy they wanted. That's the main thing that I think a lot of the mock drafters, they get themselves in trouble. They set themselves up for disappointment because they do 7,000 mock drafts, and every single person could have. And then really, it's got to be real time. You only get one real shot at it. You don't get to go back and do a do-over. Oh, maybe I should just put the trade in this time so I can. You don't just get to get all your favorite players.
Right. Well, that's the thing. You can manipulate that. You can kind of manipulate the mock drafts in any kind of way that works for you, and it's just all that stuff. But funny about the thing about the Bears, right? They're on the Lions' plan, right? Because this Loveland pick is a Sam Laporta remake. I mean, and it's not a bad thing because he has to have a safety net. Caleb Williams has to have a safety net. He can't be running around like a crazy person behind this offensive line, and they're building on that. And now to have sure safety nets at both tight end positions, that's a good thing. It's worked for the Lions. I think it'll work for the Bears.
Hell yeah. Loveland at Michigan, you're talking about a guy that was probably more than 50% of their passing offense because, the go-to, you need a safety blanket for your quarterback. And Caleb's still really, really young. And there's nothing better than to have a couple guys out there, safety blankets, getting it out to a tight end. And Ben Johnson, we know that from here. We use Brock Wright and Sam Laporta all over the place, and double tight ends, 12 personnel. Let's go. I like big personnel, all 5 of your linemen, and throw in an extra, offensive tackle as that second tight end. Maybe, you got, or what's his name? Manu out there catching touchdown passes.
Dude, we just did when we did that play review with Sam Laporta, we literally saw formations where they got both Laporta and Brock Wright split out on their own. You brought in an extra tackle, Jamarco Jones on the right side, split off the line of scrimmage. That is nutso. Now, I know it's a little Ben Johnson style worked in there, but that's how the Lions use the tight end room. So that's a great thing. And I see the Bears doing similar things.
Yeah, Brent, you got a great comment right here. Mockers give people the wrong idea on the draft. People buy in what they say, and then they are disappointed when the draft doesn't go that way. Because it doesn't take much. Like, let's take the Tesla argument here. And I know that we're over on time, but we're having a good conversation. But take the Tesla thing, like, he may have been rated at, let's say, 150 on one draft board, 100 on a draft board, 92 on a draft board, and one of them might even have had him over 200. It's like, what does that really mean? You have, 11 guys on offense, 11 guys on defense. So just position-wise, you got like 8-9 positions that you could draft that aren't wide receivers. That's one thing. I'm choosing to take a wide receiver. It isn't necessarily a wide receiver over a wide receiver, right? It might be a wide receiver over, another defensive tackle, or a wide receiver over another offensive lineman. And you're trying to gauge which one is going to help your team. And if you take the wide receiver, well, then that value for the other position is going to fall. And it just got skewed around. What I saw in the draft was the running backs that were rated really, really low. The 7th round draft picks were getting taken in the 2nd, 3rd round. They were taking the running backs really, really early. And I was just like looking at some of these guys didn't even have a draft mark. I didn't even have any stuff on them were getting taken. Mm-hmm. And that's why guys like Will Frazier fall. Is because people take chances on, maybe a guy that ran a 4.3 speed and did something in a small school or something like that. So it doesn't take much for these guys to, you take Tesla at 70. Well, if they didn't take Tesla at 70, he could have been picked at, pick 92, and then he would have been off your board. So they're like, we want this player because we like the interview, right? We like being able to sit down with this guy and talk football, and it isn't just about the shorts and whatnot. They didn't draft Tesla just because he's 6'4", 218, and can run a 4.4. That helps, but it's the attitude, it's the willingness to block. There's other intangibles that some GMs see, and other GMs value other stuff. Yep. So.
Well, great story. The story was that Brad Holmes didn't even have Tesla on his radar until I think it was a Senior Bowl, and then he caught him in drills. It was a blocking drill with him basically taking on linebackers and kind of giving them the business. And so then Brad Holmes goes, I got to watch more tape on this guy, and finds out, holy crap, he's huge, he's fast, he's a willing blocker, he's from Michigan. It all seems to make sense, and it fits our offense. So it was perfect.
Yeah, and he owned the Senior Bowl. Mm-hmm. So those are the things that aren't available to all of the people, right? You look at, the 5-minute Mel Kiper mock draft. Here's the play. Oh, look at the little bubble on the guy. Look at him blocking people and doing stuff. And it's like, that's your research? These guys have like year-round dudes, and then you see him at the Senior Bowl practice that you didn't see, where he's up against the best competition that were in college, not some college football game where there's a whole bunch of players that are good and some of them aren't so good. These were all the best players from college that were seniors, and he owned them. He owned them right in front of everybody, made their days very long and made people frustrated linebackers. So Detroit Fan Man.
You like that?
Good to see you in here.
What up, fan man?
Brad Holmes does seem to go by the RAS scores. We had some dogs with high RAS, and some are captains. There's another big thing: leadership.
Yeah,
great comment.
That has absolutely been the Brad Holmes strategy. Team captains, and I have to go back and take a look. I'm looking at the draft picks from 2023. Okay, Jack Campbell, captain. Sam Laporta, captain. Brian Branch, captain. 2024. Makai Wingo, captain. Christian Mahogany, captain. 2022, we know Aiden Hutchinson, captain. Josh,
they were all captains in that one, I think.
So it's incredible. And that's leadership, and you can't teach some of those skills.
Lions wide receivers on the 53: Amon-Ra, Jamison Williams, Tim Patrick, Khalif Raymond, Isaac Tesla. I would have to say that's it. Yeah. It's weird having the Lions have, like, usually there's like, what are we going to have to put some no-name guy at the back end of the roster, right? Oh, gosh, you get some guy. There's a lot of positions that, like, I think that we're going to cut some good players this year because we got a pretty thick roster this year. But this has been an awesome conversation today.
It's a good show, brother.
This has been an awesome show today. I want to thank everybody. And I'm going to do something a little bit different today because I usually do that for you right here, but go ahead and plug yourself.
Oh, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate it. And always fun to be on the show. If you want to come and check my stuff out, obviously at Johnny Gaz Sports, really on any social network you want to get involved in. My primary is on YouTube. All the long form content is there. We're probably going to spend a lot of time here in the off season before we get to training camp going through not only these draft picks, but ultimately doing some big time profiles on the people they are. We'll look at the current Lions roster. Me and Villain will be going through touchdown scores and scoring plays throughout this off season. So come back and see us there on top of all the stuff we'll do here live. But really, we just, both of us, try to keep it real and honest, have real conversation about Lions football, negative, positive, right down the middle, but have some fun with it and spin it positively. That's what I'm about. That's what I like to bring to my channels. And again, I appreciate you, Villain, for always having me on.
Love it. This is so much fun here. That's Johnny Gaz. My name is Russell Wayne, and you can find me at 313 Villain on X. And I've really just started that. I got like 60 guys on there. I'm getting into some of the other social media platforms. Thank you for that advice, Johnny. I'm like 4 months ago, I was YouTube and just Facebook, and I had these other ones, but I just didn't really do much with them. But now got the TikTok, we got the Instagram going, we got the Facebook rolling, and now the YouTube's starting to roll. I got up to 850. So I hadn't gotten like 2 subscribers in one day in such a long time, and I was just like, oh wow, that was awesome.
It's fun, dude.
They must have liked some of that. I had a pretty good one ripping on all of the mock drafters. That whatever. That's
dude, you're here's the thing, and I'm not trying to shoot smoke, but you bring a lot of light every day. I wake up and there is a post there, and it is positive. It's a good morning. It is a good way to feel, brother. And I appreciate that more than you know. I'm sure a lot of people do. And you also bring a really funny spin to a lot of things, man. I think you undersell your comedic stylings. And I have a lot of fun just being a part of this, buddy. You do a great job.
Thank you. And where you can find all this stuff, as well as Johnny Gaz right there, I have the YouTube and the Facebook are at Lions Villain Squad. We're on Roku too. That's kind of a build in progress. We're part of a bigger unit that has like 80 podcasts on it. Jeremy B's even part of that right there. Man Event Mike's part of that. We got a big community of really, really good football fans that are on this network trying to grow our own little, the Huddle Sports Network. They got a group right there. We have the Villain group, all that stuff. But thank you, everybody, for dropping by today. If you love the Detroit Lions, give me a hell yeah in the comments or in life. Oh, man. This show, as always, is brought to you by the fanatics.com. Right there, you can scan that code, save up to 25% off of your order. And, yeah, that's it. That's it. We're doing it. Faith, family, then football. God bless you guys. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord shine his face upon you until we meet again in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you guys for watching. You guys be safe today. Be nice to people. Let people in when you're driving. Try to keep your evil thoughts to yourself. God bless you guys. I'll see you guys on the flip.